Okay. Okay. I'll call to order the June 14th meeting of Crewe Town Council. As always, let's go ahead and start with a moment of silent reflection. And in doing so, let's go ahead and remember that the 4th of July will be coming up. So let's remember the men and women who have given their lives to keep our country safe and who continue to sacrifice for our freedoms. And also remember that the second, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm nervous today, live streaming the meetings for the first time. Just remember Juneteenth celebration coming up as well. Okay, thank you. And if we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And as I mentioned, today is the first time we are live streaming. For several years, we've been recording our meetings and posting them on YouTube. In fact, we were the first governing body in all of Nottoway County to record and post our meetings online. And today is the first time we are live streaming directly into individuals' homes. So good for us on that. And I welcome everyone. This is the largest meeting we've had since, I believe, the start of COVID. So it's good to see everyone back out and joining us and engaging with the public. So let's dive right into it. Beginning with next up on our agenda is approval of minutes and agenda. So items A and B, the May 10th, 2021 regular minutes and May 11th, 2021 Joint Planning Commission Town Council meeting minutes. So we'll start with the minutes. Are there any comments, questions, concerns from council on the minutes from either of those two meetings?
No.
Okay. Is there anything that members of council wish to have added to the agenda for tonight? I believe Councilwoman Yates wants something added to old business, continuing business.
And I don't know how, I guess it would be, is it a personal point of privilege? I want to change a vote that I made in the last meeting from.
We'll bring that up under continuing business. It'll give the town attorney a little bit more time to research, and we'll bring it up at that time.
Okay.
And that's what I'm doing over here, by the way. I'm not being rude. I'm doing
Research.
So we will put that as item number 10B. 10B will be Councilwoman Yates's concern. Anything else from council?
Your motion to approve?
Are we going to add that last minute email we got today about the farmers market to the agenda? Yeah, maybe y'all didn't see that. We
Yeah,
just got
from,
I'll come in. I haven't read it yet.
it's
Brenda
basically
Payne.
asking us. I think we should probably
Yeah.
vote on it next month because nobody's probably really looked into it.
I got an email.
When did it come in?
Sounds like
It's this afternoon.
not a bad idea.
What is the pleasure of council on that?
What was it about?
It is about, it's a proposal to establish a farmer's market that just came in from a member of the public about an hour ago.
I would
If it's a
suggest we
simple-
do it
I'll make a
week.
motion to approve this agenda and we can.
Okay,
Add that to
motion
Put it on this
to
agenda.
approve the minutes and agenda with Councilwoman Yates's addition. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. Item 4, public comments. Are there any comments from the public? And can the public all hear me? Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure. Yes, ma'am. And if you could state your name and where you live for
Yes,
the audience.
Good evening, members of Town Council, Mr. Mayor, and Town Manager. My name is Melanie Staylor. I live at 308 Guy Avenue and have owned my home for the past 12 years. I have been a citizen of Crewe for 31 years. I am here tonight to reopen the discussion of having 4 contained laying hens within the town limits of Crewe. I feel that Crewe is a country town. I am aware that Blackstone allows its citizens to have 4 hens that must be contained to a coop. I feel that our small town would not benefit from having roosters. However, I do believe that hens are beneficial. Laying hens produce fresh eggs that are full of nutrition and protein. This would enable citizens to have a balanced breakfast and snack daily. Hens are great at providing pest control as well as natural fertilizer. I myself have a garden that would benefit greatly from the natural fertilizer. Common insects would be of little annoyance with hens around. They are also great at eating fruit and vegetable scraps. Hens are great companions. I know taking care of them would bring my family and I a great deal of joy. Let's create a town of Crewe that allows its communities to thrive instead of decline. I feel that it is my God-given right to care for his creation, and that includes the land that I pay taxes on and the animals in which he created. I leave you with the scripture, Genesis 2:15. The Lord God then took the man and settled him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and care for it. Let's make Crewe our own Eden and care for the creation that he has given us. Thank you kindly for taking the time to be open to my appeal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She's a little nervous.
Nope, that's
So
fine.
are we.
So am I.
Not everybody has as much mic time as you.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi, my name is Abby. I would like to have recycling in the town of Crewe. I think it would help clean up the town and help pollution. I think it would go good where the Wilkerson tire was.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
That-
Well done.
And
Yep.
I just want to say that it's incredibly important for everyone to come out and speak to their governing body, especially local government, and especially people, especially our youth. You know, people. It's very admirable that you come out and you are willing to come out and speak to us.
Well,
So I wanted to
Absolutely.
thank you for that.
May I add to what she said?
Yes.
Even getting those bins like you would see at a food line or something of that nature, I would like for the town to look into the cost of getting something like that. Because I know one of your initiatives, since you've been the mayor, that you wanted to clean up Crewe, and you've had numerous functions where you've gone out and picked up trash, and also town cleanup days and things of that nature. What about recycling? It's a very inexpensive thing to do. It's a great thing for the community to get together to do, and you're cleaning up your town. So I would like for the council to look into getting some of those recycling bins. They can't be with so much. So that's that's a project that us as a family are trying to do
Thank you.
for our town.
I appreciate that.
I've been
And
here for, see, I'm 42. I was only out of town for maybe 3 years, so I know all of them. So just please consider what we presented to you tonight.
absolutely.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions, concerns from the public? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name's Ann Taylor, and I live at 214 Rockcastle Avenue. And I want to say thank you to everybody for the service you're doing from the council and the employees. I appreciate it. And I have a couple of questions about the budget. Is that still allowed? I know it's up to be
Absolutely.
approved, but I just have been doing some homework, and I had a couple of questions. The first one is about the consulting group that I came last Wednesday for the planning, the community citizen input for that. And my question is, will that, the contract with, is it the Berkeley Group?
Yes,
Will
ma'am.
that automatically continue next year as it is in place now? Or will that be subject to maybe adapting or reconsideration for next year?
So, Brian can answer, but are you referring to the contract for the comprehensive plan?
Yes,
Okay.
the group from Richmond that conducted the meeting Wednesday.
Yeah, most of the funding for that group is in the current, in next year's budget. So yeah, they will be moving forward, and that's covered in the FY22 budget, their fee.
Okay. Is there a way that that can be adapted so that maybe in the next year it could be, maybe take a different form, not be, is it $50,000 that was budgeted for that?
We have a, I normally don't get in back and forth with
Okay.
citizens, but we have a contract with them that specifies the amount of money that they're due per the contract.
I think the question she's asking, though, is once the comprehensive plan is complete, then their work with us would be complete.
That's correct.
Yes, and so I would be interested to know if year by year that could be considered in a different form, whether it's renewed automatically or whether it can be a different format. I just had some questions about the,
To include different items? I mean, than the.
yes, or
To answer your question, normally, generally, particularly bigger towns and cities have a operating line item budget for planning services, consulting services, those type of things. So, yes, the town could put money ongoing and future year budgets for planning type services, like we do for financial advisory services. It's considered a professional service. So yes,
I understand that.
there will be more opportunities where they could help the town out with various zoning code updates, subdivision code updates. There are a lot of other things they could help in the future outside of
Right.
the.
I understand.
Comprehensive plan.
My concern is the level of the financial commitment and the appropriateness of, now, I observed their professional demeanor and their skillfulness in conducting the workshop, and I enjoyed that part of it. I think that sometimes when there's a standard approach to a meeting and to the format of how it goes and the I'm going to say cookie cutter, that maybe a town like Crewe, with its unique history and its unique financial challenges, that maybe that full format is not a good match for the needs of Crewe, and that it could be reconsidered as maybe a single person that consulted rather than having a whole team that took up a pretty large chunk of the budget.
So-
that would be my question, is could that be looked at before it's written in stone?
I will say, and it's my first comprehensive plan, but looking at our past comprehensive plans, we were not within the state requirements previous years. So it was actually really necessary that we had an outside consulting group help us with this, because our previous comprehensive plans were not even technically like legal within the state of Virginia. We were not reaching our requirements as dictated by the state with our previous comprehensive plans. So now with the Berkeley group, we're able to bring our comprehensive plan up to the state requirements and standards because of their guidance. So while yes, it's different and it's a new approach that we haven't used before, they do have experience working with small towns that do have rural, unique idiosyncrasies like we have here. And it's going to benefit us moving forward to kind of bring us to hopefully a more flourishing position. But that was probably the biggest shock of looking at our overview of where we had been kind of not meeting the requirements for the state.
So perhaps in the future, once that format is in place, it could be adapted for how expansive or how specific it is in the future?
Yep, so we do the budget year by year, so as it stands right now, I mean, we have our contract with them currently, but once that contract expires, it's not like we're set in stone to
Right.
continue to renew contracts with them.
Right, thank you. That was my question, is whether that could be flexible in the form that it takes in the future.
Yep.
And to be clear, the $50,000 that it will not take the entire $50,000. It was put in there to be
Available?
available if needed, but we don't have to spend that entire amount.
Right, okay,
Yeah,
thank you, that's
so-
helpful.
Yeah.
And finally, just to after the entire process is over, we will sit down as council and discuss each component of the process and how we felt it went, and determine in future iterations what we think. So we'll go through sort of an after-action review process because I do share some similar concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Just for clarification, 50,000, I know the town is not used to getting a consultant on board, but that's a very reasonable fee for this type of work. The fee could be a lot larger than this, so $50,000 is very reasonable for this scope of work and level of service.
Right. May I have one more question?
Please.
All right. This question is about the new position that's being budgeted for the finance director treasurer. And my question about that is, with seeing that Davenport is in place for doing certain analysis and recommendations, and then with the town manager's skills and expertise for handling day-to-day budgeting and then making up the budget to be approved year by year, my question is, why is there an additional position that's needed when it seems like between Mr. Thrower and Davenport, those resources are pretty varied already?
Does a member of council want to?
I will answer that. With the budget process, right now it's the town manager working with Tiffany. Tiffany does a great job, but she doesn't have a financial background. What we need a financial director for is to try to help us with the future of Crewe and where we need to put our money at and where we're spending too much, too little, and help us control things. We have an extra set of eyes looking over to do the checks and balances where we haven't had in the past. So that's one of the positions. And plus we have two clerks in the town office.
Right.
And they're overwhelmed with work on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So taking some of that financial issue off of them could free them up to do other things that we need done in the town office as well.
And would that new position take over grants? Or would that
It
remain
very well
with
could.
Mr. Thrower?
Yes.
And I can expand, I can expand on that a little bit as well, is within the town manager and the clerk's position, financial advising is not actually within their purview of their job. So while they've been kind of balancing it, they're doing the work of many positions divided into two positions. So I think that's going to be really beneficial. And as far as the grants go, so there are some grants that require like quarterly reports and things like that, that we're not able to produce those reports as it stands now, so we're not able to apply for those grants. But with a financial advisor that can complete and put together these reports, it kind of opens the door a little bit to make us eligible for more grants than what we're currently able to do now, just because we don't have the expertise and the manpower to be able to do the follow-up work for them.
Additionally, I might expand on what Wendy and you said. What a financial planner does, and we have certainly seen it here with Davenport, is that they have the expertise to look ahead at the things that we need. So they're guiding us not only year by year, but to be able to set money aside for the things that are coming up, i.e. our water system, which, okay, so we've really needed this expertise, these types of eyes working with us before. And so in the long run, as we move forward, instead of running our town in a reactive mode, they help us to run our town in a proactive mode. So we're taking charge of what's going on instead of just reacting to everything that happens. So we don't want to wait to take care of our water system until it's leaking, until it's falling apart. we want to be able to plan for those things and these people have the expertise to know what comes up in the towns and the cities, so.
Right, so
This,
you're specifically talking about Davenport and what their financial planning expertise
Yeah,
is.
they do all
Right,
of that
okay,
for us,
I
yeah.
understand that. I understand what financial planner is.
right.
So, but that's, so the budget, the finance director would be on a continuation of that, or an expansion, or there would be separate duties for the treasurer?
The finance director would know how to implement those processes, okay? So,
More specifics to take the work off of the town clerks
Right.
than doing what Davenport is doing?
right,
That,
Yeah.
Hopefully with the
So we'll have-
financial director, we wouldn't need Davenport as much as well.
right.
okay.
Is that so, Brian? Help us out here. I can tell you that I have been active on both the county and the town level, and financial directors are becoming a part of both. And as I've watched the process, has been sorely needed for a long time.
So to put this in context, like I said, maybe we can have a discussion outside of the meeting, and I can fill you in a little bit more about this.
I appreciate your time, everybody,
but
thank you.
Thank you.
Just to let you know, most cities and towns do have finance director. For example, treasurer, town of Blackstone has a finance director and a treasurer.
Councilman Davis, and then we'll
To be
save the
clear,
rest of
Ms.
the
Taylor,
discussion for.
We're not hiring a financial planner. The position is a finance director, which most of this conversation that's taking place is not what this person's primary responsibility would be. They would be directing the finance, accounts receivable, accounts payable, those kind of things, and keeping that. And it should also be noted that this is a proposed budget.
Thank you for clarifying that, that's what I thought.
Yes, ma'am, and I anticipate some of this coming up again as we discuss the budget for the final time. Well, potentially final time. Any other public comment? No one else? Going once, going twice, sold. Review of bills. Any comments, questions, concerns about the bill sheet from council? I actually had one question about the bill sheet from council, or from the $10,000 for Shenandoah Cable Television.
That is remind me, Tiffany, but that's the use of CARES Act money to upgrade our internet and phone system, so that's being reimbursed through the county through CARES Act.
Okay, perfect. And is that what's included in the proposed budget?
No, those are the monthly bills that will be ongoing. This is just
Okay.
upfront equipment cost, basically.
Oh, gotcha. So I think there was something in there in the budget about telecommunications upgrades. Those are monthly bills, you're saying? Not, okay, I see. Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns about the bill sheet from council? No? Okay. Town manager's report.
You do have the report attached, and I'll answer any questions council may have.
Okay, looking at that report. I'm sorry, this is the first time I'm doing this all electronically. Any questions, Councilman Davis?
I see on here that you've got, Mr. Hines from Timmons Group has got reached back out to you in reference to the Sandy River Reservoir project. What are they saying from their end? Obviously, we're in discussions with GGS and the town of Blackstone. And that's kind of out there in the universe also. What is this group coming back to you with now?
Yeah, I sent y'all council an email Friday. Doug, the county administrator, just sent me a conceptual proposal.
Yeah, I didn't see very
That
much of any.
it was about 2 pages. It was bare bones.
Anything very material in that.
Just basically, that's, you know what I know on that. Yeah.
Regarding the comprehensive plan update, how is that survey going, and are we have we distributed it to like the library and the school system? And I guess it's too late for the school system this year.
Library.
But,
Yeah, they are available at the library and town hall. If people want to pick one up, and also online.
okay, good. And we're local eateries and things like that, places where people frequent. I guess my question is, what are we doing to increase community engagement and outreach with regard to
I've
that?
seen it on the,
We were going to put it in the newsletter, but the newsletter got delayed for a week or two. So we're putting information in the newsletter that they can pick it up from town hall and pick it up from the library and do it online.
Anyone else?
A couple of other things.
Sir.
Again, I'd like to bring up the 315 East Maryland Avenue. Haven't seen anybody over there again in several weeks. They did come through and knock down some of the grass that was out there, but the construction waste and things are still there, and I don't see where that's progressing very much. Don't know if you've heard from them lately or not. And then on the old railroad headquarters, we still have that information included in the budget. When were we going to back up and punt on that and have further discussions on what we wanted future use or what we were thinking?
So that's going to be discussed in closed session.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's all I've got.
Okay, thank you, Councilman Davis. Anyone else for the town manager?
When's July? We have a meet in July.
It looks like Saturday, July 17th at 9 a.m. at the Crewe Library.
Everyone be sure to come out.
That's the
When
neat
was it?
stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I missed it. Oh, I can read good.
We got you.
Okay, that's it.
So the CARES Act funding, the money that we're using for the upgrades and town hall upgrades and all, is that already covered in the budget
Which,
in your report?
the use for what? Sorry.
Telephone and internet, 10,000 that the mayor brought up earlier, and then it says the upgrades that you're talking about, conference room, offices, all that allocation of CARES funding. Are we going to allocate how the CARES funding goes out? Has it already been done?
So the CARES Act money, as you know, went through the counties. So we don't receive that money ourselves. So anytime we do anything that's eligible, like the sign, these internet phone upgrades, we have to get reimbursed through the county.
Right.
So don't be confusing
Has
the
council
CARES Act
talked
with
about that, or is that just
other funding. What's the other one? The AR. There's the other $2.2 million pot of funding that we have not discussed yet.
I know, how the
Okay.
town, so we're allocating these funds and then hoping for reimbursement. Is that part of,
Well, yeah, on big stuff like that, I asked them to pre-approve it so we're not stuck with the cost ourselves.
I'm asking, is council involved in that? Because I don't remember talking about these things, if I
I know I've sent y'all an email or several emails on this.
We did discuss.
we've discussed, we
and
talked about it.
Two, it's an operating expense.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else for the town manager?
I would like to note here that in the town manager's report, it says that about the chickens, for those of you that are interested. We say here the ad hoc chicken committee met on April 13th. We have met over this to discuss putting together an ordinance allowing chickens in residential districts. And he states that we anticipate putting it on our July agenda.
Okay. Anything else for the town manager or any of his departments? Okay. Hearing none, mayor's report. Let's start with a good piece of news. Good piece of good news. As the town manager let council know, and I'll go ahead and let everyone else know, our amazing water treatment department once again received an award, and I'll just read this letter addressed to the town manager. Dear Mr. Thrower, congratulations. The Virginia Department of Health Office of Drinking Water is pleased to present your waterworks with a 2020 Excellence in Waterworks Operations Performance Award. For 2020, your operators achieved a gold level award. The certificate is enclosed. Your achievement is exceptional and highlights your dedication to providing customers with a safe and adequate supply of drinking water. We look forward to your continued attention to the Virginia optimization goals in 2021. This really shows, I mean, this is several years in a row that our staff over in the water department have received this award. And it just shows the dedication and the commitment and just the quality of water that's being produced by our town. So I'd ask John Rico to come up and accept this award on behalf of council, on behalf of the town, with our appreciation and thanks. Let me come out there and. Thank you.
If I might just very briefly, the individuals responsible for the award is not myself. It's the operators. We have Susan Quaig, who's been with the town for 28 years at the water plant. Alessio Moreno. We've got a couple that can't be here. One's running the water plant right now.
Yeah.
But the important thing is, as it's stated in the letter, this award represents meeting and exceeding the guidelines from the Department of Health and the US EPA for providing safe drinking water to every customer in the town. And that doesn't come easily. It takes a tremendous amount of dedication. It's been 7 years in a row for the gold since I started being responsible for the water plant in 2012. We started with the bronze, the next year a silver, and then 7 consecutive gold awards. There's been a lot of changes and a lot of hard work that's gone into it, and I want to single out Susan Quaig because from day one, with all the changes and everything that we've gone through, she's been the one consistent and couldn't have done any of it without her. And I would like to thank her. I want to thank Brian Thrower and the mayor and council for providing this opportunity to give some recognition to the operators, because normally it's kind of taken for granted. And then finally, although he's not at the water treatment plant, I would like to recognize Jason Lewis. Everybody knows him as Peanut. He's been with the town for 23 years at the wastewater treatment plant. And like Susan, he's been invaluable to me. He's a consummate professional, as dependable as they come. And again, this is an award that the town deserves, because current administration, past administration, Mr. Thrower, past town managers and councils, it's your support that have provided us the opportunity and everything we've needed to do this. So this is an award for the town, but special recognition to the people who do it day in, day out, shift in and shift out, and that's the operators.
Yep.
Actually, if we can bring up the operators too, and just for Mr. Gunner to get a photo, because you know it's, and you tell us where to. Is this good?
Look at them, they're all standing behind.
Perfect. And I'll
There they go.
let them be center of attention. Congratulations.
Thank you all. Job well done.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, just a couple more quick things on the mayor's report. Next up, I just wanted to, in case anyone wasn't aware, another small piece of recognition. We do have someone with us tonight who recently retired, and I just wanted to recognize his dedication of, what, 47, 48, 49, 50, 60, 80 years.
49 and 3/4, 49 and a half, somewhere along.
Okay, years of service to Crewe, Burkeville, Blackstone, all of Nottoway County. to the public safety of Nottoway, and it's literally a lifetime of service to the people of Nottoway, and we all owe you a great deal, and we appreciate everything.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congrats, Bill.
Thank you. I'll be back soon for the next 50.
There you go.
So this is the only night you're going to be in your retirement shirt?
2 weeks.
That's what I said, wasn't it?
And then final piece of business from the mayor's report. I wanted to remind everyone that the 100-mile yard sale will take place on July 3rd this year. This is the biggest event, biggest economic impact event in Town of Crewe, according to Wendy, who operates a business. Hundreds of people come from out of town, loaded with cash, ready to spend it. And they come through. They buy their knickknacks and old furniture and things, and stop by and fill up on gas and grab a sub from Subway or Bravo's or all of our other great eateries. And they continue on their way, and just want to be sure that everyone goes out, has a good time, stay safe, recognize that there's going to be significant traffic, and if you can take advantage of the economic development opportunity, do so. With that, I did want to throw out a few ideas to council and see if any of the spaghetti on the wall stuck. One idea. Do we want to consider closing potentially the 2 blocks of Main Street of Carolina Avenue and offering either space for first come, first serve, or rental space for individuals to set up a yard sale? Idea number 2, do we want to consider renting out space in here and or outside the community center for yard sale space and have signs directing individuals and make a little bit of revenue for the town? Or but again, it's about 2.5 weeks away, 3 weeks away, so it's getting a little bit soon. I'll just throw that out there and see what council thinks.
I think it's typically, if you're not on 460, your extended yard sales in the towns don't do as well.
Okay.
Did y'all ever rent it before for anybody for that purpose, Ann?
Not for the 100-mile yard sale. There were successful, like I don't know if you ever came, the Christmas Bazaar, and there were several successful events but I don't know if you had where vendors paid the organizer a certain amount and set up space in here. I don't know, it's not that far away whether it would be very easy to but I don't know how the 100-mile yard sale is organized. I mean, I know people pay for a spot.
Do you have people still looking for spots?
So the organization itself, the people who organize, simply advertise the route, and individual vendors can find places to go themselves. So really, the organization itself is just the route and just the advertising of the route. Where people set up, how all that's done is up to vendors and up to property owners. And the organizers have nothing to do with that, because that introduces a whole level of liability that no one wants to touch with a 10-foot pole.
So then who would be the organizer of these rental situations?
Property owners.
No,
No.
she's talking about for the town.
Your proposals. Who are you the organizer then? You would be organizing that with the vendors?
If the town were to use the community center, and the town would be responsible.
And by
much like if we were renting it out for anything else. Which again, it's a little bit late to put on the town, so
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea to consider.
in the
Next
future?
year.
For
Okay.
next,
Yeah.
for next year, when the planning begins, it's so close to the nth
Okay.
hour right now.
Councilman
Just gonna
Avery?
let you know, it's just like a big yard.
Any other questions as well?
Any comments, questions, concerns for the town attorney? Okay, perfect. Moving on to new business. Item 9A, the budget. Okay, getting into the fun stuff. We have a couple things to bring up. The first one is there's a question about the meals tax. And I believe Brian can explain that further.
Yeah, I was like I normally try to do. is
Okay, sure. Go ahead,
through
Brian.
but I'm not going to read through because we've been through this iteration several times. But just on general fund, I was going to let you know on the just to remind everybody on the revenue increases, the $25 per fee, motor vehicle license fee per vehicle. Sanitation fees would increase double for residential and commercial rates. As the mayor said, meals tax, and that was an error on my part. I had previously stated that the meals tax was 6.5%. The current meals tax is 6%. So the proposal would, or if you could do it either way, go up 1% to 7%, or keep it 7.5% as currently in the ordinance. I would recommend just keeping it at 7.5%, but that's y'all's call. The revenue decreases cigarette tax, a decrease of 10 cents per pack to 40 cents. That's required by state code. The wonderful General Assembly is making us do that. Water system improvement fee, that's being eliminated from the bill. Fuel surcharge fee, that's being eliminated from the bill. County landfill fee is being eliminated, but that revenue is incorporated into the sanitation fee. Water and sewer fund budgets. Water fund is $1 million. The sewer fund is $1,212,994, and that's an option 1. Again, revenue decreases. The water system improvement fee would be going away. The water surcharge fee would be going away, and sewer surcharge fee would be going away. And again, we're looking at redoing the water and sewer rates now, so all those fees would be later incorporated into water and sewer fee. The new structure we're coming up with at a later time. In terms of recommendation, you do have the budget ordinances and the FY22 budget and related ordinances attached for your consideration. And I mentioned we've kind of gone back and forth on this, and it was no clear. I think I sent you an email or two on this about option 1 or 2, about how whether to keep the minimum bill right now until water and sewer rates are increased at $85 or decreasing those to $80. So if you look in your attachments, you got one ordinance that says option 1, ordinance to adopt FY22 operating budget. Option 1 would maintain the current minimum sewer rate and would drop the overall minimum water bill to $80 per month. That's kind of what the premise we've been working up to this point. The other option that a few of y'all have expressed interest in is adopting the budget, and that shows as option 2, which would increase the minimum sewer rate $5, so that the minimum water bill would stay at $85 for the time being. So those are the 2 options. I think that's pretty clear. So I would say whatever you adopt, either choose option 1 or 2 of those, and the related budget ordinances and the capital improvement plan.
Okay, so Brian, with the meals tax, the original proposal was a 1% increase that would generate $40,000 in revenue. Now we're looking at a 1.5% increase simply because the old rate, or the current rate, is 6% rather than 6.5%. Does that mean that we're looking at an additional $20,000 revenue
We
generation?
could, and you know, all these revenues are, this budgeting is an art, not a science. So the 275 initially was optimistic somewhat. So it fluctuates, obviously, with, so anyway, yes, theoretically, what you're saying, that would equate to about $20,000 additional, but meals tax may not come in like it did this year. You got stimulus money going away. Who knows? It's fluctuated. These line items, especially meals tax, fluctuates. We saw what happened with cigarette tax this year. So at best, you're giving yourself a $20,000 cushion. Again, that's up to y'all. Y'all could keep it at 7.5. I would recommend that, or you could just put it down to 7.
My concern with that is for months we've been saying 1% increase, and granted I was in the minority opinion saying that I didn't like the 1% increase, even for a $40,000 increase in revenue, and now we're saying 1.5% increase at the 11th hour for an additional $20,000. But I'll leave that. What are council's thoughts on that?
I'll say we stay at 7%. We do the 1% increase, like it was previously stated, and then make the budget a wrap. I'm ready to make a motion to approve it.
Well, we'll have other questions. We have at least one option.
Oh, I thought we've talked about the budget for months.
Well,
I thought we were ready to
We got to decide option 1 and 2.
Oh,
there.
option 2.
But also, I want to give council the opportunity
Yeah.
to.
I agree with the mayor in that we have been repeatedly said a 1% increase. And so I don't have any problem with increasing from 6% to 7%. And then next year's budgets, we'll see how it goes. And
Yeah.
Other thoughts? Does anyone object to that 1% rather than the 1.5? So going back to the original 1%.
So, Mr. Town Manager, do we have to change something in the
No,
ordinance?
we can, I've had this happen before. I mean, budgets gets changed at the last time. We can we'll redo the ordinance tomorrow and whatever y'all decide. I just included in the motion if that's what y'all collectively decide,
Okay,
to lower it from
I understand.
7.5 to 7.
On the issue of that $5, I know council had talked about it either way. What is council's pleasure on that?
My pleasure is option 2.
Yeah, I stated my feeling about that too, to leave the minimum bill at 85 and put the extra $5 on the
And then we
sewer.
can drop it on the rate study.
Once we get our new rates, hopefully that $5 will alleviate some increase at that point. It just seemed to me, I don't know how everyone would feel, but kind of a slap in the face to get it lowered to $80, and then in a couple of months' time, it jumps back up where it was. It seems disingenuous to me, but with you.
I agree.
Other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns on that issue? Does everyone seem to be in consensus on option 2 for that?
I would be.
Does anyone oppose option 2 for that? Okay. I'm going to open the floor to any other budget comments, questions, concerns.
I'll make a motion to adopt the budget with the 1% and option 2.
There's a motion on the floor to adopt the budget with the 1% and the option 2. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
There's a second by Councilwoman Yates. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilman Davis.
There's lots of fundamental things that I think that given more time and being better prepared for this would have probably brought to light. I take, and for the record, I will say that I am fundamentally against hiring a financial director at a $70,000 cost to the citizens of the town of Crewe. regardless of how we manipulate and move things and change things and cut here and cut there. If you're able to cut it, it meant it didn't need to be there to begin with. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I make every decision that I make in this room based on where I think it would affect my mother. Fixed income, unable to do things to try to increase the monies that she has available to take care of things. As Chief Abel has said many, many times, we've got to learn to live within our means. And I have not seen an articulable list of weaknesses or deficiencies in the way that the system is set now that would justify a $70,000 plus all the extra costs involved, the remodeling, new phone systems, more employees, more this, more that. It's not just that salary. So for the record, I'll be voting no against the budget as written.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
My sentiments exactly with Mr. Davis. We have things that need to be fixed now. Instead of go up on taxes, go up on this to hire more people. I think the things that need to be fixed first should come before any of that. And I strongly disagree, because at the present time, I'm on a fixed budget too. I'm one of the senior citizens now. 14 now.
Thank you, Councilman Abel. Any other comments, questions, concerns? I did have one question that's still in my mind, and that is on the position for the police department. Because I just wanted to make sure that the will of council was captured after one of our meetings. The conversation was raised that that it was the will of council that blight reduction initiatives be transferred from police department to public works. And in doing so, it was understood that there may not be a need for a new position in the police department if that happened, if a police officer wasn't dedicated to blight reduction initiatives. So I'm just trying to follow that. So Brian, Chief.
Yeah, I mean, my recommendation status is written in the budget. So the issue you have with a lot of positions, you don't, if you started doing, like we talked about at the retreat, building property maintenance that's in the building code, eventually, and a rental inspection program, you're going to have a full-time position to do all that code enforcement, grass, junk vehicles, which we're already doing. But if you start doing building property maintenance and a rental inspection program, even with help from the county, you're going to have that as a full-time position. So as it stands now, when I got here, there was no systematic way code enforcement was being done. Police were handling vehicles. Greg, or the former town manager, was handling derelict buildings. Who was Tony, the former public works director, was doing grass. So it was it was a system that was not a very good system, to be quite honest. So anyway, to put that under one person, that's what we did with the police department position, and Phil Morgan stepped to the plate and volunteered for that. So as it currently stands now, you don't need a full-time position just doing grass and weeds and cars, but eventually you will.
Well, and I concur with what you're saying down the road. I will say, since Officer Morgan has been doing what he does, there is a marked improvement in the appearance of things.
Absolutely.
And a more consistent application.
Right. Without a doubt, Ann, without a doubt.
So
And the
I
citizens
realize
notice.
it's not the best scenario, but it is much better than what we were doing before.
Right, it's working way better because it's systematic. It's, you know, absolutely.
So is it now the desire of council to keep those blight reduction, to maintain the status quo for the time being and to keep,
That would be my recommendation.
okay.
That would be mine
Which would
also.
result, if I'm clear, in chief needing to hire another officer for his department?
Yes.
Yeah, I would be a no.
Well, that would be a yes for me because I think that at the end of the day, if we're using Morgan to do this maintenance, he can be pulled in when needed by the police chief to do actual police work, you know, I mean, and I think we've been undermanned in the police department for a long time. We should always have 2 officers on duty.
We've had many citizens come to past councils expressing their concern.
Absolutely. But I think then, because Morgan can wear both hats when the need is there, don't you think?
Regardless, if we don't hire the police officer, then we'll need to hire a public works person to do the ordinance enforcement.
Exactly.
So we're gonna have to hire one or the other.
Right, but where it goes in the budget is police department or public works, which is why we're having this discussion during the budget. So I guess, and I'd hate to put the chief on the spot. Chief, would you rather have blight reduction as part of, under the police department for the time being and have the extra officer, or neither the extra officer nor the blight reduction?
If the council feels that,
Okay, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, I'm sorry.
no, it's okay, if the council feels that what is working now is working, then I need the other police officer, and I stand with the manager on this situation.
Let's get real. Ideally, this would not fall under police. This would fall under your community development department or less likely public works, but usually it's under the town manager or city manager, or if you have a community development department that does zoning inspection, code enforcement, that kind of thing. So yes, it's not the ideal situation, but this is a very small town and we're trying to do the best we can. And it's really up to the staff. If once you figure the number of positions out, we can massage it as time goes by about who does what function under what department. So it's a lot to be worked out now. We've got a vacant public works director position, another position getting ready to become vacant that y'all are aware of. We got a lot of change. So there's a lot of moving parts of this little scenario here. So
Okay. So
We did recently terminate one position, right? Public Works?
and that's recommended to be eliminated in the budget.
So if,
Just moving,
No, but if we
moving
didn't
the
eliminate
salary.
it, then it's, yeah.
Unfortunately, the
From-
public works salary is probably not the same as
no,
a police
it's,
officer
but
salary.
it's some of it.
Police officers should be police officers. Code enforcement should be code enforcement.
and this probably I don't want to get too far into the weeds on, but it does sort of go into policy, looking at overarching policy on where we see departments and, you know, like you said, police officer being police officers, where we see public works and goal setting and things like that. And well,
I'm not sure why being in violation of an ordinance would not be considered police.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I mean, I think if we have a public works person go into somebody's house telling them, you know, they gotta cut their grass, it probably would be a issue to where, like it was at one property, where the police would be called there anyway because you'd have a confrontation. So, I mean, I think you're cutting, I mean, I agree with police need to be police, but also too, if we have a police officer that can do it part-time, where it's not a full-time position right now, then we have that police officer do it part-time, and I just, and hire another police officer to fill the spot.
Okay. I don't want to keep going around. Oh, go ahead, Councilman Abel.
I'm of the opinion the police officer, the citizens of this town need police protection more than they need a weed control man. And while the police officer's riding around, if he rides a town and he sees everything, he can see this yard needs to be cutting. Let the town manager know. I don't know how they send that to letters. I guess they come from the town manager. And he gets his information from somebody, and they could tell him he sent that to letter. And if he stay in violation, you know, to me, a police officer on the street can go by and knock on the door and deliver the paper just as good as the, whatever Mr. Morgan's title is. We need the police officers looking after citizens.
Okay. Thank you. So I don't want to keep going around in circles. The current language says funds for a new police officer. Is there, what, I guess the consensus of council is to keep it as that?
I'd like to clarify, my debate over whether or not Officer Morgan should be doing code enforcement does not reflect my desire for him to have an additional officer.
Okay.
He still needs more staff to be fully staffed.
Okay.
I stand by the motion that I made
Okay.
30 minutes ago.
And I stand with
Okay.
Wendy on that.
Is there any other discussion on the budget? Okay. Sorry, I did just want to clarify that because it was keeping me up at night. So the motion is to pass the budget with a 1% meals tax increase, and option 2, keeping the minimum utility bill at the current $85 rate, with that additional $5 going towards sewer until the water rates are reevaluated and that report is back from Hurt Profit. And that motion has been seconded. Hearing no other discussion, I will take a roll call vote. Councilwoman Foss.
Aye.
Councilman Davis.
Nay.
Councilman Abel.
No.
Councilwoman
Aye.
Stinson. Councilman Yates.
Aye.
Aye.
And
Nay.
no. On a vote of 3-4, the motion carries. Okay. Thank you for that, everyone.
I'd just like to say thanks for council. I know this has been a long 2 or 3 months and
Yes.
many work sessions, and I know it's painful in some aspects, but we're moving forward, progressing, so thank you for your work on the budget.
And thank you to Brian and Tiffany and everyone who put forth the effort to get that through, and to the ad hoc finance committee as well for all that. Item 9B, USDA loan resolution. Brian.
Yes, let me find that in my packet.
See if you had it pulled up on your computer.
I like to write. Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council, this was included in your recently approved budget. We were awarded USDA rural development funding to purchase police vehicles and equipment, and the funding is comprised of $83,200 in grant proceeds and $68,200 in loan proceeds. And in order to proceed, rural development requires you to adopt a resolution authorizing and providing for the incurrence of indebtedness. And I do ask that you adopt the loan resolution so we can move forward on that.
Okay, what is the pleasure of council? Motion by Davis,
Second.
second by Stinson. Is there discussion?
I have one question about it.
Question.
They have a grant for how much money?
$83,200.
All right, and that's for the grant itself. and the extra price is $68,000.
That's the
It's
loan.
going to be financed, the citizens have to pay for.
Yes, sir.
No.
And that was, I believe, included under the, is that, how is that financed in the budget?
I believe that's a 5-year loan.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's accounted for in the budget.
It's in the budget,
They
yes.
just approved.
Yes, sir.
For the MDTs and 2 police cars, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay, any other comments, questions, concerns about that? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Was that 2 noes? Okay, on a vote of 5 to 2, motion carries. Item 9C, 301 West Carolina Avenue, request to declare a dangerous building and authorize removal. Brian?
Yes, Mayor and Council. You do have an attached memo from Dean Lewis, the Nottoway County building official. He considers the accessory structure located at 301 West Carolina Avenue a dangerous building that's described in code. Town Council has the authority to require property owners to remove, repair, secure any building, wall, or structure which might endanger the public health or safety. Any such building, wall, or structure would be considered a dangerous building per code. I do recommend you declare the accessory structure located at 301 West Carolina Avenue, again, a dangerous building, and authorize staff to go through the process and remove said structure if it's not corrected by the property owners themselves.
Okay, any initial questions by council?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Has
sir.
the property owner been asked to tear this thing down?
Not yet?
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Just to let you know, you have to go through an extensive legal notification process. You got to advertise, et cetera, so they'll be given the opportunity, which we want them to do. We want people to take care of them, these properties themselves, rather than the town.
So can I ask a question?
yes, sir.
Is this a situation where somebody on our staff would have seen this little shed and called Mr. Lewis, or does he peruse the town?
So this is one of these areas, again, that Phil Morgan does code enforcement.
Okay.
And initially, we were working off of a memo that was prepared a few years ago that Dean put together about, 5 or 6 structures he considered dangerous. So now we're kind of veering off that list and looking at the most obvious cases in town right now.
So then from a procedural standpoint, just so I'm clear, we've contacted him to come look at this building, but what you just said to Chief was, would there have been communication with this person about, would Phil have already dropped a letter on them?
Not so.
So we're being asked to declare something a dangerous building, and we haven't approached the property owner at all yet.
Yeah, because I don't know how, typically this would be handled by staff, but the way the code is written, y'all have to officially approve this. So this just basically starts the process. So once y'all declare this a building, if y'all do declare the building, we'll send a letter saying that council has declared this building a dangerous building. You have 30 days to do whatever. And generally speaking, if they say, yeah, we're going to, like the 122 South Tyler Street, that's not torn down yet because we've been in communication with the railroad, and they're supposedly taking steps to remove the asbestos and get bids on contractors, et cetera, et cetera. So it's starting the process to give us the authority to remove it if we have to.
It seems like a lot of work when maybe a phone call would fix it. That's
A lot of times phone calls don't work.
you don't know till you try.
Yeah,
Knock on the
but
door.
technically you have
We've
to.
got a code ordinance guy who's riding around town all day. Looks like he could.
Knock, knock.
Well,
I think legality-wise.
Okay, pleasure of council.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Davis,
Second.
second by Stinson. Any other comments, questions, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, item 9D, 4025 Indian Oak Road, request to declare a dangerous building and authorize removal. Brian?
yes, Honorable Mayor and Council, again, this is basically the same situation at 425 Indian Oak Avenue that you've got pictures there of the structure. It looks like it's pretty much fallen down on itself almost. So again, I do recommend you declare that structure at 425 Indian Oak Avenue a dangerous building and authorize removal.
Okay, any initial questions of the town manager? Okay, what is the pleasure of council?
So
I'll make the
moved.
motion.
So moved.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Item 9E, Planning Commission term expiration, request to appoint. Brian?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council, if you remember, we started doing staggered terms, which is the way we're supposed to do it. So Whip Wilson was the first one with a staggered term, and his term expires at the end of this month. He's willing to serve another term, and I recommend you appoint an individual to serve on the Planning Commission for a 4-year term, July 1st of 2021 to June 30th of 2025.
I'll point out that he did come to the Planning Commission meeting that we held, and he did come to the event on Wednesday. So he is active in the community still. What is the pleasure of council?
I'm in favor of appointing Mr.
Okay.
Wilson.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
I'll second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed?
Nay.
One no. Okay. Item 9F, Board of Zoning Appeals term expiration, request to appoint. Brian?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council, again, this is the same situation where we've established a Board of Zoning Appeals now, and they're on staggered terms. So the first one was Mr. Bill Foss. His term expires at the end of this month, and I do recommend you appoint an individual to the Board of Zoning Appeals. This one is for a 5-year term per state code, July 1st of 21 to June 30th of 2026.
Okay. What is the pleasure of council?
And Mr. Foss, it's my understanding, has agreed to continue.
Make a motion.
Second.
To,
Does he
Bill
know
Foss.
it's a 5-year
To
term?
keep Bill.
Okay.
so motion by Bowen and second by Abel to reappoint former Councilman Foss to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Any discussion?
And then you all may also want to authorize me to file the requisite paperwork with the circuit court.
Would you like to amend your motion?
Yes. To allow Tessie to file her paperwork.
with the circuit court.
Yes.
And second.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And any abstentions?
Oh, yeah, me.
Okay.
I didn't abstain last time.
I'm not sure.
I
Does she need to
recommended
abstain?
It's not a legal conflict.
I mean,
Okay.
She can, doesn't matter.
You can. It's up to you.
No.
Okay.
Aye.
Okay. Never mind.
Aye.
Didn't know if it was a legal conflict or not. Number 10A, unfinished business, 100 West Carolina Avenue, request to declare a dangerous building and authorize repairs. Brian?
Yes, Honorable Mayor and Council, it looks like they're still working on this building. I believe last week they were working on that. I've been in touching base with the county building official, Dean Lewis, and they still have to fix that second-story corner, but it did look like they were working on that last week, so hopefully that will be addressed soon.
Perfect. Thank you. And item 10B, are we ready for that? Okay.
we're ready.
Thank you, Tessie. I'm putting everyone on the spot today. And that's,
So how do we do this?
Okay, so the way this works, the question is that, and I'm going to summarize it if I'm wrong, please correct me, but Sue would like for town council to essentially review a motion that was made last week.
last month, right?
Last month.
Last month, okay. And so my understanding is that Sue wishes to have her vote reconsidered or changed.
Right.
So the proper way to do it, and this is following Robert's Rules of Order, is to have, it would be a motion to rescind
is what it would be called. And that's essentially treated as a motion to amend a previous vote. And so that can actually be made by anybody,
Including me.
including you, and probably preferably you if you're the one. But it doesn't, that's irrelevant. It's not a motion to reconsider, because the motion to reconsider would have to be made the day after the meeting. And so then it comes down to a motion to rescind, repeal, or annul a previous action that was made. According to Robert's Rules of Order, this can be made without previous notice or notice at the beginning of the meeting, so long as the entire membership is here to vote on it, which everyone is. And the reason for that is just to avoid any surprises. Like, let's say someone was not here and then they found out that you have voted on the motion to rescind, and that wouldn't be fair or objectionable. So, since the entire membership is here and anyone can make the motion to rescind, it is proper for tonight's meeting.
So I would like to make a motion to rescind my vote from our previous board meeting regarding the letter that Phil wrote to the county, right?
Well,
regarding the ladder truck.
Right, I simply drafted a letter for council.
Right, to approve or
Right.
Right, to approve or disapprove.
Right.
I voted yes. I
Right.
want to change my vote. I want to rescind my vote, my yes vote.
You voted no.
I voted yes.
You vote,
I voted no.
You voted
Okay.
no.
I want to rescind it. I want to change it, okay?
okay.
I know,
So can we
don't
follow
look at me
Robert's
that
Rules
way.
of Order, like all of them, or can we just follow one here and one there? Because I would love to follow all of Robert's Rules of Order, but we
And I would
don't.
completely disagree with that assessment.
Nobody knows all of Robert's Rules of Order.
And what
is the problem.
What I would suggest for that, and that's one thing that did come up when I was looking for that as well. If you all want to consider that, then maybe a proper thing to consider in an ordinance, if, whenever you all want to bring that up.
So with this rescission of her previous vote, does that then reopen discussion about the matter for the floor?
Basically, it's not necessarily a rescission of her vote. What it would have to be is a motion to rescind or amend council's entire vote. And so then council would re-vote on that, or vote on essentially that motion to rescind it, whether or not you all wanted to rescind or amend that previous vote.
So if the vote carries to rescind the previous vote, will that then open it back up for discussion at full council for a complete re-vote on the matter that was brought last month?
It would essentially be a complete re-vote on the matter last month, because the vote would be to rescind it or not to rescind it. So it's whether to, say, no, we want to change it or not. And so essentially that would be a vote on the entire matter. So it's not necessarily that Sue per se is saying, I want a motion to rescind my vote. My understanding of it is a motion that is proposed to the entire council to rescind it. And so essentially you would be deciding.
So is this, so Sue has asked, made her motion to rescind. If we vote yes for her to rescind, then we have to vote that whole other thing again.
Well, it was.
Or if
It
we
was my
vote,
understanding that I could rescind my vote. I have that ability, I can do that. I think irregardless of a vote, can't I?
I'm just trying to figure
Bessie
it
is
out.
saying that you can't unless it's the next day. If you're on the prevailing side of a motion, you can open it back up and change it if it's the next day.
That's a motion to reconsider. So I was trying to avoid being super
The
technical. but
prevailing
this
side
is
of the vote were the yeses.
difficult.
You were on the prevailing side
Yeah.
of the vote.
I'm not getting involved in
God,
that.
I'm so confused. I know what I want to do, but it's-
Well, I enjoy Robert's rules.
I'm not getting involved. I'm not.
It was never meant for groups this size, and you know it.
I ordered the book on Amazon, Robert's Rules for Dummies.
If we don't follow
Googled it.
Robert's rules anyways, it's kind of a moot point what Robert's rule says.
Well, there are very few bodies that follow all of Robert's rules.
Right, so
which
why
is
are we
why,
using Robert's rules as a gauge to whether she can do it or not?
well, there are, I mean, opening and closing meetings are Robert's rules. There are parts of Robert's rules that every body, well,
So decides what parts we follow and what parts we don't?
body itself decides what parts.
We should
follow.
do that sometime.
And that's a good question too. Something I wanted to say is, this is assuming that we're following Robert's rules because there's
And
nothing.
there are circumstances like this where, you know, a decision has to be made whether or not a council member is allowed to do this, and where do you turn to answer that question?
Right.
Right.
Beforehand, you have to decide that where you're going to turn to in these situations,
I-
right?
But in order to determine that beforehand, you would need to be able to anticipate every possibility like this.
So another way to look at this, any of y'all can come to me or come to the meeting and ask an item be put on the agenda. So theoretically, any of y'all could come to every meeting and ask that the same item that's already been voted on and discussed be discussed meeting after meeting, but y'all have to approve the agenda, so there's the approval mechanism built in that way too. Anyway.
Yeah. If this clarifies things, if this is what y'all want to do, I'm just reading it. Rescind, repeal, or annul. Any vote taken by an assembly, except for those mentioned further on, which those don't apply, may be rescinded by a majority vote, provided notice of the motion has been given at a previous meeting or in the call for this meeting, or it may be rescinded without notice by a 2/3 vote, or by a vote of a majority of the entire membership, which is what we have tonight. And then it goes on to say when the notice may be given. To rescind is identical with the motion to amend something previously adopted by striking out the entire bylaw, rule, resolution, section, paragraph, and is subject to all of the limitations. So essentially, what Sue is saying is that she would be making a motion to rescind that previous motion. And so that would be the question that's before council. It's not necessarily, from my interpretation, something that is personal to her. So in other words, if she just said, you know, I want my vote to change, my understanding as the entire council, it would have to be a majority vote to rescind that previous motion.
Which would then require rehearing the question at issue or on the table.
Or
you
would
wouldn't
it be
necessarily have to.
automatic if, so assuming that her motion, because just looking at the outcome, her motion is to rescind the vote. The vote was to send the letter, the vote failed. If her motion to rescind passes, then it's automatic that the letter is sent, or it comes to discussion again for the letter to be sent.
So it cancels out previously. So we would have to make another motion, the same motion again.
Okay.
It's like it never happened.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yes, and this is a main motion without any privilege and therefore can be introduced only when there is nothing else before the assembly. It cannot be made, well, that doesn't matter either. So it can be made by any member. It is debatable. So there can be debate on this motion.
whether to rescind it or not. Right.
Okay, so
Motion's on the floor, right?
motion by Councilman, thank you for all that, by the way. Motion by Councilman Yates to rescind the vote from the last meeting regarding sending the letter to the Board of Supervisors about the $200,000 for the fire truck. Is there a second? Is there a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Okay, moving on. Number 11, public comments. Is there any public comments? Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
It's been a while.
Welcome back.
This is quick, and I just wanted to, for the record, my name is Sandra Pettis. I reside at 306 Rockcastle Avenue in Crewe. Well, there was an article in Friday's Richmond Times-Dispatch which talked about the fact that, Mr. Venter, thank you, but not tonight. That talked about the fact that the state is getting an additional $500 million in American Rescue Plan funds, and that is being distributed to the counties. Nottaway was not one of the counties mentioned as receiving some of those extra dollars, although the article did say that there would be additional state funds made available. So I'm just requesting that the town take a little aggressive posture, because sometimes the county is not always forthcoming about dollars that it may have access to. Perhaps, I know that these funds are time limited, but those things could be used to cover some of the expenses in the budget, and then the town's dollars could be used for some other purpose.
Are you saying that this is funding, American Rescue Plan funding above the $2.2 million that the town of Crewe is already getting, and the?
This was announced on Friday. So there was an additional $500 million that's coming to the state of Virginia.
Okay.
And it is to be distributed to the counties. And some cities that are independent. For example, the city of Richmond is getting an additional $100 million. So
Nice.
just something to keep in mind. The other things are very quick items. I just wanted to ask, is there a plan to continue to remove storm debris, because there are still branches lying in the street on Rockcastle Avenue in the 100 block? I noticed it when I was out walking this morning, so. Public Works has a lot of.
Public Works is still picking.
I believe we are still taking care of all that. It's an ongoing process.
Okay, and the property that is located at Rockcastle and Tyler, where the town has continued to cut the grass for the homeowner, is that situation going to be resolved? Because I think at some point, unless it's made punitive, the homeowner is not going to do anything about it. And it continues to be an eyesore, and has been since I've been a resident of the town.
So in any instance where grass is cut by the town of a private property owner, the private property owner is billed, and then that.
I know they're billed, but I think at some point it has to be more than just a bill. It has to be punitive, because otherwise the town is viewed as a grass cutting service. And this has been going on now for years, so this is not an isolated, that particular property. So I can't speak to the others, but that one is problematic.
Right. I can't remember the next step in the process.
So just to, yeah, right, we do bill back all that we charge. In some ways, looking at what we send out, I think we probably do charge too low. And they do get a pretty reasonable, cheap service, to be quite honest. So at some point in the future, I'll probably bring them back a code update, grass being one of them, and the state code, if I remember correctly, remind me if I'm veering off testing, but in our current code, in the state code, you can charge like an additional civil penalty on top of the charges you charge for grass cutting. So I think that's getting to Ms. Pettis's point. You can charge, I don't know the figure of $200 or $300 or so, but there's an additional penalty you can charge that may get people's attention a little bit more.
Thank you.
And on that topic, I was driving through Farmville, I believe, the other day, and they had had one of those electronic signs out that said something about, I don't know if it was for a specific cleanup event or if it was just in general, a $500 fine for littering, minimum $500 fine for littering. So I don't know if that's something council wants to explore.
About time to change ours anyways, isn't it?
No, it's
Absolutely, that is an excellent idea.
Do we have one?
Yeah, it says wear masks.
Oh, the sign.
So just food for thought as we explore other things, other ability to for blight reduction. Any other public comments? Hearing none. Are there any points of personal privilege from council? Councilman Abel.
I have one request again, the storm drains down 460. Majority of them are clogged up with grass again.
Until we start enforcing people cleaning up their gutters, we're gonna keep having this mess with the storm drains.
It's not their gutters. It's not their storm drains.
When
It's not their
our
curbing.
stuff is in the gutters, it's our stuff to take care of.
And
Sorry, you and I
let's-
will disagree on that, Sean.
Let's not go back and forth. Councilman Abel.
I think they need to be kept cleaned out, because if you do have a hard rain, right there at Weston's is gonna flood. Down next to, I think, Jack Boswell's office, it'll flood sometimes. And if your motor's driving down the street and you run into water, could be a very major problem.
To be clear, you're describing VDOT right away, correct?
So, yeah, we'll
Just to clarify,
Yeah.
it's VDOT right away?
Wherever
we'll contact VDOT and ask them if they could maintain their roads.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Well, happy Flag Day, everyone. And with nothing else from council, I will entertain a motion to go into closed session pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A3, disposition of publicly held real property. Discussion in open meeting would adversely affect the town's bargaining position and negotiating strategy. And is there anything else? Nothing legal? Nothing personnel?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, motion by Abel,
Second.
second by Bowen. We are in closed session.
Closed session.
Remember that to turn off your